Okay, guys, for today's sheet, you need the one that says graphing quadratic inequalities. So we're going to take what we've learned, about inequalities and kind of compare that with graphing quadratics and put it all together. So as long as you remember how to graph inequalities and you remember the basic concepts of that, and you got a good understanding of graphing quadratics, then this is going to be pretty easy for you. So first off, I'm going to identify, my axis of symmetry. That's not going to be any different. So identify axis of symmetry. So that's, still your negative b over 2a. So in this course, see negative 4 over 2 times a, and my a is negative 2. So negative 4 over negative 4, so that's going to be a positive 1. So that is my axis of symmetry. All right, so let's go put our axis of symmetry at 1. So draw my dashed line. All right. Now I need to pick some values to plug in. Well, I already have this 1 here, so I make my XY table. Negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 1. And then here's my y. So if I plug in 1, let's see what happens. Negative 2 times 1 squared plus 4 times 1 minus 1. All right, 1 squared is 1, and 1 times negative 2, that's just still negative 2. Plus 4 times 1 is 4, take away 1. Negative 2 plus 4 is 2, minus 1 is 1. All right, so when I plug these in, 1, I get 1. And I know this is going to be a maximum point because there is a negative there, so it's got to be opening downwards. All right, next thing I'm going to choose, 2 is easy, but, I got an opportunity to plug in a 0. Whenever I got an opportunity to plug in a 0, I'm definitely going to do that. So negative 2 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 1. Well, 0 squared is 0 times negative 2. That just cancels. 4 times 0 cancels. So you just get negative 1. So when you plug in 0, you got negative 1. Now I'm going to reflect that point. So it's 1 to the left of the axis of symmetry. So that means I'm going to go 1 to the right. All right, we need to pick one more point to plug in. In this case, you can do negative 1, you can do 3. It's up to you. I'm going to try negative 1. So negative 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 minus 1. Okay, so negative 1 squared, well, that's 1 times negative 2. So that's going to be a negative 2. And then 4 times negative 1 is negative 4 minus 1. So negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6, minus 1 is negative 7. So at negative 1, you're at negative 7. All right, we're going to go ahead then and reflect. So it looks like you're 2 away. So go 2 the other way. All right, now when I make my parabola, I got to pay attention to the symbol. And that's a greater than or equal. So if you guys recall with that, a greater than or equal is going to be a solid line. So we're going to make this a solid line, kind of like we've done before. Remember, it should be a U shape, kind of follow the pattern the best you can, freehand. Now, I need to shade. So for me to shade, it's as easy as just picking points and plugging in like we've done before and see if it's a true statement. So anytime that, I can use 0, 0, I am, but you see 0, 0 is pretty close here. So maybe it's too close to that line. So let's say I pick another point that's really easy to use, and I'm going to choose right here, this point. So I'm going to choose 0, 1 to plug in. All right, so my work, come over here and put on a Post-it note just because I am running out of space. So my X and my y. So my y value is 1, is greater than or equal to -2, and x we're saying is 0, squared plus 4 times 0 minus 1. Okay, so 1 is greater than or equal to. 0 squared is 0 times -2. That just cancels. 4 times 0 cancels, and you're left with -1. So is 1 greater than -1? Well, yeah. Which means everything on the outside of this parabola, because this point was on the outside, is shaded. Okay, so it's going to be everything that's on the outside will be a solution set to this. So you would shade everything like so. Okay, number 2. So let's start off, find our axes of symmetry. Negative b, so b is 2, over 2 times a, and my a value, you don't see one there, so you know that's really a 1, but there's a negative there, so -1. So you get -2 over -2, which just simplifies to 1. So it looks like, again, our axis of symmetry is at 1. Let's put our dashed line there. And let's go ahead and make our table. So I got -x squared plus 2x minus 5, and then our y. Okay, so we are going to plug in 1 because that's where the axis of symmetry is. So -1 squared. Notice I put that in parentheses, and that's pretty important. If you don't, you're going to get a wrong answer. Plus 2 times 1 minus 5. So 1 squared is 1, but you had that negative weighting, so that makes a -1. Again, that parentheses makes a huge difference because if it was not in there, you might think it was like -1 times -1. Plus 2 minus 5. So -1 plus 2 is 1, take away 5, and you get -4. Okay, so at 1, we have -4. Come down, put your point there. Now I need to pick another point to use to plug in. So I see I can definitely choose my x is 0. So I'm going to use that one. So -0 squared plus 2 times 0 minus 5. Again, 0 is very nice to use because, look, this cancels. You're left with just minus 5. So at 0, you're at -5. And then I'm going to reflect this point. So it's 1 away. I'm going to go 1 the other way. And I need one more point. So I'm going to plug in -1. And I have a negative. Then I do parentheses. -1 squared plus 2 times -1 minus 5. Okay, order of operations says you got to do exponents first. So that's -1 squared. So that's a 1. And then that negative that was outside just gets slapped on. Plus 2 times -1. Well, that's -2 minus 5. And -1 minus 2 is -3, -5. That gives you -8. So when you plug in -1, we ended up with -8. All right, we're going to go ahead and reflect that. That's 2 spots away. So I need to go 2 spots the other way from the axis of symmetry. And then look at the symbol. The symbol's a less than. And if you guys remember with inequalities, a less than, it was an open line or a dashed line, which is exactly what we're going to do here, but just with a parabola. So make sure your parabola is dashed. Okay, now I need to go ahead and pick a point to test. I'm going to test 0, 0, because again, super easy to test, plug in. So if you get 0 for your y is less than -0 squared plus 2 times 0, take away 5. Well, that cancels, and you're left with just that -5. So is 0 less than -5? No, that's not true. So I know because it was not true from the outside, it's going to be this inside part that you're going to shade. So everything inside will be shaded. That's part of the solution set. So the point that could satisfy this, I could pick any point from within here, just not on the boundary, and it'll make that a true statement. All right, number 3. So checking this one out, we got y is greater than or equal to x squared minus 8x plus 19. So again, let's go ahead and identify our axis of symmetry. So negative b, and my b is -8, over 2 times a, and my a is 1. Okay, negative -8, that's positive. 8 over 2 times 1, it's 2. So 8 over 2 equals 4. So 4 is my axis of symmetry. So let's go draw a dashed line at 4. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and make our XY table. So we have x squared minus 8x plus 19, and then we get our y. So I'm plugging in 4. So I have 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 19. So that's 16. Minus 8 times 4 is -32 plus 19. 16 take away 32 is -16, and a -16 plus 19 gives you +3. So at 4, +3, that's going to be our vertex. Okay, pick another number to use. I'm not going to choose 0 this time because you see the 0 is pretty far away from the axis of symmetry. I know this is going to open upwards, and if I get a 0 and I plug it in, for example, that's going to zero out. That's going to zero out. You're left with 19. So if you pick 0, it's going to be somewhere all the way up here with 19, and it's just way off the graph. So you want to pick something that's closer to it. So I'm going to use 3. Okay, so now we're going to have 3 squared minus 8 times 3 plus 19. So 9 minus 24 plus 19. So another way that I think of it, like I like to add my positive numbers together first. I know that's 28, and 28 take away 24 is 4. So at 3, we get 4. All right, I am going to reflect that one. I see it's 1 away, so I need to go 1 the other way. And I know this is opening up in the right direction because it's a positive. My A value is positive, so it's got to open upward somehow. Okay, one last value I need to plug in. I'm going to do the number 2. So it's going to be 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 19. Okay, so I get 4. This gives me minus 16 plus 19. Again, I like to add my positive numbers. 4 and 19 is 23, and 23 take away 16 gives you 7. So at 2, we were up at 7. Okay, so I am 2 away, so I need to go 2 away the other way. And there's my points. Okay, check the sign. The sign is a greater than or equal, which means it's a closed line. So make your closed parabola. And then pick a point to test. Whether it's an outside point or an inside point. I'm going to test 0, 0. So 0 is greater than or equal to 0 squared minus 8 times 0 plus 19. So cancels. 0 is greater than or equal to 19. Not a true statement, which means everything inside is going to be shaded. And when you shade, maybe it's easier if you just use the highlighter. I'll use a highlighter this time, or a marker. So everything inside there is shaded for part of the solution set. All right, we're going to do one more together, and it's number 4. So let's go ahead and identify the axis of symmetry. So negative b, so negative 12 over 2 times a, which is 2. So you get negative 12 over 4, which just reduces to negative 3. So negative 3 is my axis of symmetry. Okay, now our xy table. And 2x squared plus 12x plus 19. And we're plugging in negative 3. So 2 parentheses, negative 3 squared plus 12 times 3 plus 19. Okay, negative 3 squared is 9. 2 times 9 gives you 18. Plus 12 times 3, 36. And then plus 19. And if you're looking here, let's see, negative 12, negative b over 2 times a, that works out. I'm seeing, oh, I see what I did wrong. I'm like, these numbers are not going to match up. So 12 times negative, I forgot to put the negative 3 there, which that makes that a negative 36. Okay, 18 plus 19, that gives me 37. 37 take away 36, that's 1. So you plug in negative 3, you get 1. And I know this is going to be a minimum because that's a positive value there for my a. So it's going to open upwards. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in another value right next to it. I'm going to do negative 2. So I got 2 times negative 2 squared plus 12 times negative 2 plus 19. Okay, negative 2 squared is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. And then 12 times negative 2 is negative 24 plus 19. So 8 and 19, that gives me 27. 27 take away 24 gives you 3. So at negative 2, you're at 3. Okay, we're going to reflect it over. So it's 1 away, go 1 the other way. Need one more point. So let's go with negative 1. All right, so I'm going to do 2 times negative 1 squared plus 12 times negative 1 plus 19. Okay, negative 1 squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 12 times negative 1 is negative 12 plus 19. All right, 2 and 19, that's 21. 21 take away 12 is 9. So at negative 1, you're all the way up to 9. Okay, so I see that's 2 spots to the right. So now we'll reflect that over, go 2 spots to the left. Okay, check the symbol. The symbol's a less than, so that's going to be an open parabola. So make sure your parabola is dashed. Remember, when you're drawing your parabola, you never want it to get quite vertical. All right, it's going to approach being vertical, but they will never go vertical. All right, now I need to pick a value to plug in, so we can keep running with the 0, 0 and test it. So 0, 0 is on the outside, so let's see if that works. So 0 is less than 2 times 0 squared plus 12 times 0 plus 19. Okay, so that cancels, and you get 0 is less than 19. And yeah, that's a true statement, which means everything on the outside needs to be shaded. So here's a good case. Use a highlighter. Goes a lot faster. Everything in that graph on the outside of that parabola could be a solution. All right, now it's time for you guys to do some work on your own. So you guys go ahead and do number 5. Solve number 6. Do 7. 8. Number 9. Number 10. Number 11. 12. 13. And 14.